The Seattle summer was relentless. Heat waves the city was never designed to handle turned the asphalt into a sticky surface, and my gray suit felt like a suffocating second skin. I had just left the courthouse, where I lost an important case. My client, an innocent man accused of insurance fraud, would be sentenced next week. 35 years of corporate law practice, and I still let it get to me when justice failed. The judge had been inflexible, rejecting every argument I had meticulously presented over 6 months of preparation. Circumstantial evidence weighed more than concrete facts. Bought witnesses spoke louder than authentic documents. As I walked through the scorching streets of Belltown, the weight of defeat pressed on my shoulders like a lead cloak. The coffee shop on the ground floor of my office building offered weak but functional air conditioning. I ordered an iced coffee and sat by the window, watching tourists melting on the Belltown sidewalks. Families with small children searched for non-existent shade. Executives loosened their ties as they rushed between appointments. The entire city seemed exhausted, suffocated by weather that didn't belong in the Pacific Northwest. That's when I saw the ad on the corkboard near the counter, half hidden among offers for shared apartments and dog-walking services. Wanted, attorney for urgent document review, complex corporate fraud cases, generous compensation. Interested parties contact, Dominic Kane. My hand trembled, the coffee nearly slipping from my fingers. Dominic Kane, the tech billionaire who built a security software empire before turning 40. His photo appeared regularly in business magazines, that angular face and intense green eyes that seemed to pierce through the camera. A man known for his ruthlessness in business, and for something darker, a tragedy the media exploited for months. His fiancée had died. Claire Whitmore, CFO of his company, found dead after a fall from a hotel in Bellevue. Suicide, according to the police, but rumors suggested something more sinister. Tabloids speculated about domestic fights, secret financial problems, even Dominic Kane's involvement in the alleged suicide. The investigation was closed too quickly, leaving more questions than answers. It wasn't his name that paralyzed me. It was the digitized signature at the bottom of the ad. 3 parallel diagonal lines, interwoven in a specific way. A symbol I knew intimately because I carried the same one on my own body. I pulled up the long sleeve of my blouse, exposing my left forearm. There, faded but permanent, 3 thin scars formed the exact same pattern. Made 22 years ago with the sharp point of a geometry compass, in a poorly lit bathroom at Hollow Creek Youth Center. Claire Whitmore. I knew her by another name. Claire Moreno, the 15-year-old girl who protected me when I arrived at the shelter at 13. Too thin, too scared, too broken. She taught me to survive in that place. She taught me that trusting adults was dangerous, that stealing extra food was necessary, that sleeping light was wisdom. Memories flooded my mind like water breaking through a dam. Claire sharing her dinner plate when I was so hungry I cried softly at night. Claire teaching me to hide money inside the hem of my pants so the other girls wouldn't steal it. Claire holding my hand during storms because she knew thunder made me remember the night I witnessed my father beating my mother for the last time before social services took me away. And on one freezing winter night, after 2 older girls attacked me in the hallway and tore my only decent clothes, Claire made the marks. On herself first, then on me, pressing our forearms together as blood mixed under the flickering fluorescent light. 3 lines, she whispered, wiping my tears with blood-stained fingers. Past, present, future. No matter where life takes us live, we'll always be sisters. No one can take that from us. Not the families who abandoned us, not this horrible place, not time. We're real blood now. 6 months later, I was transferred to a temporary foster family in Tacoma. I promised to come back. I promised to write. But the family returned me to the system after 8 months, claiming I was too difficult and emotionally distant. Other families followed, other cities, other disappointments. Each transfer took me further from Hollow Creek, further from Claire. At 18, I was alone, working 3 jobs to pay for college, with no time or resources to search for a childhood friend who had probably forgotten me. And now her name was connected to a billionaire, and she was dead. I photographed the ad with trembling hands and called the number. Each ring amplified my anxiety. A female voice answered, professional and cold. Kane Industries. How may I help you? My name is Olivia Marsh. I saw the ad about legal work. I need to speak with Mr. Kane. Mr. Kane doesn't accept calls without prior appointment. I can direct you to our Human Resources Department or tell him it's about Claire Whitmore. The words came out before I could think better of it. Tell him I have the same marks she had. Absolute silence. Then, with a suddenly cautious voice, please hold. The wait seemed endless. I heard clicks, transfers, muffled voices discussing something urgent. Finally, a male voice took the phone. Deep, controlled, with a sharp edge that made my spine tingle. Who are you and how do you know that name? Olivia Marsh. I was Claire's friend, a long time ago. I saw the ad and recognized the signature. Where? It wasn't a question. It was an order loaded with tension and something more dangerous. On my arm, the same 3 lines she had. Heavy breathing on the other end. I heard something being knocked over, as if he had stood up abruptly. Columbia Tower, executive floor. Today, 8 p.m. Come alone. Don't talk to anyone about this call. If you're lying about who you are, you'll regret dialing this number. He hung up before I could respond. The hours until 8 p.m. dragged like an eternity. I returned to the office, but couldn't concentrate on any documents. I obsessively researched Dominic Kane online. Forbes estimated his fortune at $3.2 billion. He built Kane Industries from scratch at 25, transforming an encryption app developed in his mother's basement into a multinational cybersecurity empire. There were photos of him at charity events, always with a controlled expression that never reached his eyes. Articles about aggressive acquisitions of smaller companies. A Bloomberg profile that described him as ruthless, brilliant, and dangerously focused. And there were photos with Claire, taken at corporate events over 6 years. In them, his face transformed, softened, almost smiled. Claire had changed so much. The skinny girl with disheveled hair had become an elegant, confident, impeccable woman in tailored suits. But when I zoomed in on a gala photo from 2 years ago, I saw the scars on her left forearm, partially hidden by a diamond bracelet. Our pact still marked her skin. She hadn't forgotten me. The tower rose like a monolith of glass and steel against the orange evening sky. Security guards frisked me in the lobby with military efficiency, confiscating my cell phone, my keys, even my court ID. You'll get everything back when you leave, one of them said without emotion, before releasing access to the private elevator. The ascent was silent, just the hum of machinery and my accelerated breathing. I watched my blurry reflection in the metal door. I looked small, vulnerable, a mid-tier law firm attorney about to enter the world of a billionaire who could destroy her without effort. The elevator opened directly onto the executive floor. Intimidating was an understatement. Glass walls revealed all of Seattle. The city bathed in golden and red tones of twilight. Every piece of furniture screamed discreet luxury. Every surface gleamed with obsessive cleanliness. A severe-looking assistant waited for me, hair pulled back in an impeccable bun, black suit without a wrinkle. Miss Marsh. She assessed me with a look that saw everything and revealed nothing. Please follow me. We walked through empty corridors. Our steps echoed in the silence. I realized the entire floor was deserted except for us. Dominic Kane had sent everyone home. This should have scared me more than it did. She stopped before a double door of dark wood, knocked once and opened without waiting for a response. Miss Marsh, sir. The office was vast. Cutting-edge technology on every surface. Screens displaying real-time financial data. Expensive but functional furniture. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a 180-degree view of the city. And behind a huge, dark mahogany desk, Dominic Kane. The photos didn't do him justice. He was bigger in person, easily 6'5", with broad shoulders under a dark gray dress shirt with rolled-up sleeves. Black hair slightly tousled, as if he'd run his fingers through it repeatedly. Jaw marked by deliberate stubble, and those green eyes that assessed me like a predator assesses prey. There were old scars on his forearms, surgical marks that spoke of a violent past. But what held me was the intensity. There was hunger in that gaze, raw pain barely disguised by iron control, anger simmering just below the polished surface. Sit. Order, not invitation. I sat in the leather chair facing him, maintaining my professional posture despite my heart hammering against my ribs. Mr. Kane. Your arm. Show me. His voice cut the air like a sharp blade. There was no way to refuse without seeming suspicious. I extended my left arm over the mahogany desk, pulling up the sleeve slowly. The 3 scars gleamed under the white office light, faded by time but unmistakable. He stood with a predatory movement and circled the desk in 3 long strides. He stopped so close I felt the heat of his body, the smell of expensive cologne mixed with something more primitive. Fear and excitement collided inside me. Without asking permission, his hand closed around my wrist. Strong, possessive, completely inappropriate, but I didn't pull back. He turned my arm, examining each line with forensic attention. His fingers traced the scars slowly, and I felt shivers rise up my arm, cross my shoulder, settle at the base of my spine. When? His voice was a rusted blade. 22 years ago. Hollow Creek Youth Center, December 2003. Something crossed his face. Raw pain, then anger, then something that looked like recognition. How did you know her? We spent 2 years together there. Claire was older. She was 15 when I arrived. She protected me from the other girls, from the abusive staff, from counselors who asked too invasive questions. My voice failed. We made these marks on a bad night, after I was attacked, as a promise that we would always be sisters, no matter what happened. We lost touch when I was transferred to Tacoma. I never saw her again after that day. He didn't release my wrist. If anything, he tightened his grip. Claire died 6 months ago. Fall from a hotel balcony. 20th floor. His eyes pierced mine, searching for any sign of a lie. The police said suicide. They closed the case in 3 weeks. I know it was murder. The air left my lungs. What? My fiancé didn't commit suicide. Claire wasn't depressed. She wasn't unstable. She had no reason to take her own life. His jaw clenched. She was investigating fraud within my own company, building a case against powerful people. Someone killed her before she could expose the truth. Finally, he released my wrist, but didn't step back. He remained dangerously close, invading my personal space in a way that made every nerve in my body awaken. And you, Olivia Marsh, just became the only living connection to her past. The only person besides me who can confirm who she really was before she became Claire Whitmore. I don't know anything about. It doesn't matter what you know. He leaned in, hands flat on the desk on either side of me, trapping me between strong arms. What matters is what you represent. Claire never mentioned the shelter, never mentioned a sister. She kept that part of her life locked so deep I thought there was nothing before she met me. He took something from the desk drawer, a silver-framed photo. But she kept your photo next to our bed for 6 years. Every night, she looked at this image before sleeping. He turned the frame toward me. It was an old, faded photo, taken at Hollow Creek. Claire and me, sitting on the front steps of the shelter, arms intertwined, smiling despite everything. I was 13, thin and scared, but there was hope in my eyes because Claire was beside me. Tears burned my throat. She kept this. And never told me who you were. She called you Liv when she dreamed. She'd wake up crying some nights, repeating your name. His voice grew rougher. I was jealous of a ghost. I didn't know you were real. Why didn't you ask her? I did, once. He straightened, running a hand through his hair. She said some parts of the past needed to stay buried so the future could be possible. I respected that. I thought I was protecting her by giving her privacy. Now I realize I was leaving her vulnerable. My heart nearly stopped. Dominic. And now you're here, with identical marks, at the exact moment I need someone from the outside to finish what she started. His face was inches from mine. I could see golden flecks in the green eyes, see the small scar at the corner of his upper lip. So I'm going to ask once, and you won't lie. Who are you really, Olivia Marsh? I'm a corporate attorney. I work at a mid-sized firm in Belltown, dealing mainly with merger and acquisition contracts. I haven't seen Claire since I was 13. I have no hidden agenda, no connection to your company, no reason to be here other than a random ad I saw today. I forced firmness into my voice. But if someone killed my sister, I want them to pay for it. No matter how much time has passed, no matter how many different lives we lived, she was my family when no one else was. He studied me for an endless time. Then he stepped back, grabbing a thick folder from the desk and throwing it in my direction. Papers scattered. Claire was tracking insurance fraud. Someone inside Kane Industries was using our software to hack into insurance company systems, create false claims, approve fraudulent payments. Millions diverted over 5 years. I opened the folder with trembling hands. Complex spreadsheets, transaction codes, financial reports marked with Claire's handwritten notes. Her elegant handwriting, always slanted to the right, exactly as I remembered. There were notes in the margins. Check secure life, suspicious pattern. Holt, investigate further. Police connections, careful. Did she find out who was behind it? She was close, very close. Dominic poured 2 glasses of whiskey from an expensive bottle, pushing one in my direction. 2 months before she died, she changed. She worked until dawn, locked in her office with files scattered everywhere. Barely spoke to me. Cancelled wedding planning. Stopped sleeping properly. He drank half the glass at once. I thought it was wedding stress. I thought she was having doubts about us. I gave her space when I should have insisted. I didn't realize she was hunting a murderer within my own walls. And you think I can help because? Because you're invisible. No one in my company knows you. You can ask questions, access places, investigate without raising the alarms Claire raised. He turned a computer screen toward me, showing complex technical logs. This is the forensic analysis of her laptop. 2 days before she died, spyware was remotely installed. Whoever she was investigating knew her every move. Every file she opened, every email she sent, every person she contacted. I studied the technical logs, my limited knowledge struggling to keep up. Why not go to the police? Because 6 Seattle Police Department detectives receive regular payments from the same criminal operation. He closed the laptop with controlled force. Claire discovered that too. She found bank transfers, documents proving corruption in 3 different precincts. That's why they closed the case so quickly. That's why the autopsy was superficial. That's why no one questioned the crime scene despite all the inconsistencies. What kind of inconsistencies? Claire was afraid of heights, severe phobia since childhood. She would never voluntarily stand on a 20th floor balcony, much less close enough to the edge to fall. His voice became dangerously low, and there were bruises on her wrists, finger marks. As if someone had held her. My stomach turned. They ignored that? They said they were from me, from consensual roughhousing. They turned our relationship into something sordid to justify investigative negligence. Raw anger crossed his face. They painted me as an abusive boyfriend, and her as an unstable victim. They smeared her memory to hide murder. And you want me to do what, exactly? Finish her investigation. Find concrete evidence connecting the perpetrators to the crimes. Identify everyone involved, from the top of the hierarchy to the last accomplice. He leaned in again, invading my space. And help me destroy them. Legally, if possible. By other means, if necessary. I should have left. Every professional instinct screamed danger. This was obsession, thirst for revenge disguised as justice. It could destroy my career, my reputation, possibly my freedom. But when I looked at the scars on my arm, I remembered a 15-year-old girl who shared her only meal with me, who taught me to be strong when all I wanted was to disappear, who bled beside me to create a bond that time couldn't break. With conditions, I said, meeting his eyes. Full access to her files without censorship. Complete legal protection, including criminal attorney if necessary. A formal contract establishing my role and limitations. And if at any point I feel this is too dangerous or crosses ethical lines I can't accept, I walk away without consequences or retaliation. A slow, predatory smile curved his lips. For the first time since I entered the office, I saw something beyond pain in those green eyes. There was admiration, respect, dangerous interest. Lawyer to the core, smart. Claire chose her sister well. He extended his hand. I accept your terms, Miss Marsh. My attorney will have the contracts ready by tomorrow. When I shook his hand, his fingers closed around mine with a strength that bordered on painful. He pulled me slightly, making me rise from the chair until we were dangerously close. Welcome to the hunt, Olivia. I hope you're prepared for what we're going to discover. Because once we start, there's no turning back. The people who killed Claire won't hesitate to do the same to you. Then you'll have to make sure that doesn't happen. His smile widened. I intend to do exactly that. Dominic installed me in a safe apartment on Capitol Hill that same night. Modern 2-bedroom loft, armed security on the ground floor and roof, surveillance system covering every angle of the building, panoramic view of downtown through bulletproof windows that looked like ordinary glass. My belongings were transferred from my tiny studio in less than 2 hours. I watched efficient men pack my entire life into labeled boxes, moving everything with professional care that suggested experience protecting valuable people. Miss Marsh, The gray-haired woman who had been my driver introduced herself formally. "My name is Victoria Chen. I'll be your primary security and contact with Mr. Kane. I was a Navy officer for 20 years, specialist in high-risk protection. Any threat will have to get through me first." I studied her with new respect. "How long have you worked for Dominic?" 8 years. He hired me when I left active duty. She handed me a new cell phone, top-of-the-line model. Encrypted, untraceable, direct line to Mr. Kane and me. "Don't use your old phone for anything related to the investigation." While Victoria finalized security details, I dove into Claire's files. Dominic had transferred everything to a protected laptop, organizing years of investigation into chronological folders. She was meticulous to the extreme. Every document was dated, sourced, and detailed notes. Every anomaly was highlighted in different colors, a code system that took me an hour to decipher. Yellow for mild suspicions. Orange for circumstantial evidence. Red for concrete proof. There were many red markers concentrated around one name: Marcus Holt. I started at the beginning, tracking when Claire first noticed irregularities. 3 years ago, reviewing routine financial reports, she identified small discrepancies. Insurance claims approved in minutes when they should take days. Suspicious rounded values. The same adjusters approving problematic cases. Individually, nothing seemed criminal. But Claire had an eye for patterns. She began compiling data, cross-referencing, building a web that revealed something bigger. Secure Life Solutions. A smaller subsidiary of Kane Industries focused on software for insurance companies. It created systems that processed claims, detected fraud, managed payments, and its director was Marcus Holt. I researched Holt online. 52 years old, twice divorced, 3 children from previous marriages. Senior programmer who rose quickly in the company after Dominic acquired Secure Life a decade ago. Low profile, no significant social media presence. The corporate photo showed an ordinary man, round face, thick-framed glasses, neutral smile that didn't reach his eyes. Predators rarely look like monsters. But Claire's notes painted a different portrait. Holt, defensive behavior when questioned about audits. Always on vacation when reviews happen. Pattern. Suspicious approvals occur during his shifts. I kept reading until 3 a.m, cold coffee forgotten, eyes burning. There were complex spreadsheets showing money flow. False claims created in real people's names, payments diverted to offshore accounts, an elaborate system that exploited loopholes in the very software Holt had helped develop. Claire estimated $37 million had been stolen over 5 years. And Holt wasn't alone. There were at least a dozen accomplices, including employees from 3 different insurance companies and several police officers who investigated insurance fraud. My new cell phone rang, making me jump. Dominic, not apologizing for the absurd hour. "Did you find anything?" Marcus Holt. Claire was building a solid case against him. Holt has been with the company since before I took full control. He built Secure Life's entire infrastructure from scratch. He was a personal recommendation from the previous CEO. Heavy pause. "I need you to investigate him personally. Tomorrow there's a corporate gala dinner, the company's annual charity event. Holt will be there. So will you." "Dominic, I can't just show up and start interrogating." "You won't interrogate. You'll approach him socially, gain his trust through casual conversation, assess his personality and vulnerabilities." His voice was ice. "And plant a tracking device on his phone. That's completely illegal. Direct violation of privacy that could invalidate any evidence we find." Claire followed all legal and moral rules and died for it. She tried to build a perfect case that would withstand any judicial challenge. She gave the killers too much time to realize what she was doing. Bitterness tinged his words. "I won't make the same mistake. Sometimes justice requires methods that lawyers prefer not to see. You're asking me to cross an ethical line I swore never to cross. I'm asking you to do what's necessary to catch killers the system failed to prosecute." Pause. "But the choice is yours, Olivia. If you can't do this, I understand. I'll find another way." I thought of Claire, keeping my photo for years, calling me sister even when I was absent, dying alone chasing truth no one else wanted to expose. What kind of device? The dress that arrived the next morning was an impossible-to-ignore statement. Deep red, strategic neckline that revealed collarbones without being vulgar, daring side slit that climbed to mid-thigh. Expensive fabric that fell like liquid water. I put on the expensive heels that came in the same box, 4-inch black stilettos, and studied my reflection. I looked like someone else. Someone powerful. Someone dangerous. No longer the mid-tier law firm attorney with conservative suits and minimal makeup. This version of me commanded attention, demanded respect, promised danger. Victoria appeared promptly at 6, assessing my transformation with subtle approval. Mr. Kane has good taste. She handed me a small clutch, black with silver details. The device is disguised as a decorative flash drive with crystals. Connect it to his phone's charging port for 15 seconds. It will clone all content and install monitoring software that will transmit data in real time. I opened the clutch. Besides the flash drive, there was lipstick, a compact mirror, and something that looked like an expensive lighter. And this? Audio recorder. Activates by pressing the top 3 times quickly. Records up to 6 hours. Automatically encrypts and sends to secure servers. She studied me. You're nervous. That's good. It means you understand the gravity. Overconfident people make stupid mistakes. Have you done this before? This kind of operation? Intelligence missions in the Middle East involved frequent infiltration. This is relatively simple compared to getting information from terrorist cells. Small smile. But don't underestimate the danger. Desperate men are unpredictable. Holt killed once. He won't hesitate to do it again if he feels threatened. Should that make me feel better? It should make you appropriately cautious. Caution keeps you alive. She guided me to the car. I'll be at the event, disguised as corporate security. Any problem, any sense of danger, signal, and I'll pull you out. The Four Seasons Hotel was packed with corporate Seattle. Expensive tuxedos, designer dresses, jewelry that cost more than my annual salary. Superficial conversations about fluctuating markets, strategic mergers, investment portfolios. The sound of wealth being wealthy, indifferent to the world outside these walls. I located Holt quickly, near the bar, already visibly drunk. Flushed face, too loud laughter, uncoordinated movements. He drank martini after martini, talking to other executives who gradually moved away from him. Dominic appeared at my side like a silent shadow. Impeccable, custom-made black tuxedo, silk tie, presence that commanded attention even without effort. His green eyes fixed on me in a way that warmed my skin despite the air conditioning. You look stunning. It wasn't empty flattery, it was recognition loaded with something darker. You said to attract attention. I said to attract his attention. His fingers brushed my waist briefly, a possessive touch that sent shivers down my spine. I didn't specify whose else. Before I could respond, he had already moved away, mixing with other CEOs and investors. But I felt his gaze following me as I approached Holt. Excuse me, are you Marcus Holt from Secure Life Solutions? He turned, eyes traveling over my body in a way that made me want to cover myself with something. He lingered on the neckline, the slit, the legs. Yes. And you are? Olivia Marsh. Attorney specializing in mergers and acquisitions, but I'm considering transitioning to insurance technology. I smiled, forcing warmth I didn't feel. I heard you're the absolute authority in the field. The flattery worked immediately. He straightened, an arrogant smile forming, chest puffing out. I don't like to brag, but Secure Life is the absolute market leader. Our software processes 70% of insurance claims in the United States. We spent 45 minutes talking. I pretended fascination while he talked incessantly about himself. He drank 6 martinis while I pretended to drink 2 gin and tonics I barely touched. He told inflated career stories, let slip confidential technical details, boasted about his indispensable importance to Kane Industries. Honestly, without my work, half this company would collapse, he said, voice slurred. Dominic Kane gets all the glory, but it's people like me who do the real work. That must be frustrating, not getting proper recognition. Frustrating? He laughed bitterly, ordering a 7th drink. It's insulting. I built systems that generated billions in revenue. And what do I get? Mediocre salary and an office without windows. When he finally stumbled while getting another drink, I offered support with practiced concern. I think you need some fresh air. The terrace was empty, soft city lights creating an intimate atmosphere. The sound of the party leaked muffled through the glass doors. Holt leaned against the marble parapet, glazed eyes fixed on the horizon. You know, Olivia, he said, tongue heavy, smart people like us, sometimes we need to take what's rightfully ours. The system is unfair. Why do men like Kane have everything while geniuses like me get crumbs? Like what? I kept my voice neutral, curious. Like millions. He spun toward me, nearly losing his balance. Millions that I built systems to generate while Dominic Kane gets all the credit and profit. My blood ran cold, but I maintained an interested expression. You're talking about profit sharing? I'm talking about taking what should be mine. He laughed, a humorless sound. Claire Whitmore found out. Smart bitch, too smart for her own good. Always snooping, asking questions, reviewing files that weren't her business. Found out what? I pressed gently, heart pounding. That I was finally taking my share. False claims here and there, quick approvals, money diverted to accounts no one tracks. He shrugged casually as if discussing the weather. It was too easy, almost insulting how pathetic security systems are when you know how to build them. And Claire. She started asking difficult questions. She noticed patterns she should have ignored. His eyes narrowed, remembering. She threatened to expose me, said she was going to take everything to Dominic, to the FBI, that my life was over. So what did you do? I made sure she had an unfortunate accident before she could tell anyone. He said it with frightening naturalness, as if he'd solved a small inconvenience. 20th floor of a hotel in Bellevue. Fake meeting to discuss evidence. She was so predictable, so eager to be a hero. When she arrived, 2 of my associates were already waiting. He had just confessed. Drunk and careless, he admitted direct involvement in Claire's murder. My hand went to the clutch, activating the recorder with 3 discreet taps. Marcus. Dominic's voice cut the air like a guillotine blade. He emerged from the shadows near the terrace door. Absolutely lethal presence. Something wild burned in his eyes. I think you've had too much to drink. Holt paled instantly, sweat breaking out on his forehead. Mr. Kane, I was just confessing to murder. Dominic crossed the distance in 3 fluid steps, moving like a predator that spotted wounded prey. Olivia, go to the car, now. Dominic, now. There was no negotiation in the order. There was a promise of imminent violence. I hesitated for only a second. When Dominic grabbed Holt by the tuxedo collar, I saw absolute terror on the man's face. As I quickly moved away, I heard the first impact, sound of fist against flesh, Holt screaming, Dominic speaking too low to distinguish words, but the tone was pure poison. I forced my feet to keep walking, descending service stairs in heels that suddenly seemed impossible to balance. Each flight of stairs was an eternity. My hands trembled so much I could barely hold the railing. Victoria waited for me in the basement, car engine already running. Get in, quick. I practically fell into the back seat. Dominic is up there with doing what needs to be done. You got the confession? I looked at the recorder disguised as a lighter, small blue light blinking. Yes. He admitted everything. The scheme, Claire's murder, the accomplices. Then your part is complete. The rest is his problem. Victoria drove out of the parking lot with controlled speed. Don't worry about Holt. Dominic knows how far he can go without crossing lines that can't be uncrossed. But it didn't feel complete. It felt like I was just starting something impossible to stop. Something dangerous and consuming that would drag us into depths neither of us was prepared to face. Dominic arrived at the apartment 3 hours later. Bruised knuckles, blood splattered on the white shirt collar, eyes empty of remorse but full of dark satisfaction. Is he dead? I forced the question, voice coming out weaker than intended. No, but when he wakes up in a federal cell, he'll wish he were. He went straight to the bar, pouring 3 fingers of Scotch whiskey that he drank at once. Holt gave up everything. The complete scheme, names of all accomplices, location of offshore accounts, details about the corrupt cops, everything recorded in high-definition video and ready for the FBI. You tortured him. I convinced him to cooperate enthusiastically. He poured another dose, hand surprisingly steady. There's a difference. Not legally, there isn't. Do you think I care about legality? He turned, intensity burning in green eyes. Claire died following every rule, respecting every protocol, trusting the system. And what did the system do? Closed the case, protected the guilty, smeared her memory. I won't make the same mistake of believing in institutional justice. So what are you? A vigilante? I'm a man who protects what's his. He crossed the room until he was dangerously close, invading my personal space. And you, whether you want it or not, Olivia, are mine now. I should have established boundaries, should have pulled back, should have remembered this was a professional relationship with unbalanced power dynamics. But there was something in the way he looked at me as if I were the only solid thing in a world that had completely collapsed. I'm not anyone's property, I whispered, but without real conviction. No, his hand rose, fingers tracing my jaw with surprising gentleness. You're my partner. My equal. The only living person who loved Claire as much as I did. The only one who understands what I lost. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was raw hunger, months of loneliness and pain condensed into desperate contact. Hands found my waist, pulling me against a solid, warm body. I responded with equal ferocity, fingers tangling in black hair, biting his lower lip until I tasted metal. He pushed me against the wall, mouth descending down my neck, teeth grazing sensitive skin. Hands explored the slit of the red dress, fingers climbing up bare thigh as I arched against him, reason evaporating. "Dominic," I gasped. "This is insanity. Complete madness. I know." He lifted me without apparent effort, my legs wrapping around his waist. "Stop me. Say no." But I didn't want to. I couldn't. Not when every nerve in my body was screaming yes. He carried me to the bedroom, laying me on the bed with surprising care considering the urgency between us. The red dress came off in a single motion, thrown unceremoniously on the floor. His clothes followed quickly, revealing a body marked by old scars, defined muscles, stories of violence written on skin. When we finally joined, it was with eyes locked, as if he were memorizing every expression, cataloging every reaction. And afterward, sweat binding skins, heavy breaths filling the silence. He held me as if I could evaporate at any moment. "Claire talked about you," he murmured against my hair. "In dreams, she'd wake up crying, calling your name, saying she'd abandoned you. I was jealous of a ghost that haunted her. And now I understand." Lips brushed my temple. "You were the first person to love her without expecting anything in return. Without agenda, without conditions. Just pure love from a child who needed a sister. And you, what did you feel for her?" "I loved her without conditions too." He tilted my face, forcing me to look at him. "For the first time since she died, I don't feel completely lost in the dark. You brought me back." We fell asleep intertwined, two survivors clinging in the storm, finding temporary comfort in shared warmth. The FBI arrested Marcus Holt at dawn. Federal agents arrived at his suburban home at 5:43 in the morning. With him, they took 7 other executives from Kane Industries and partner companies, 9 employees from 3 different insurance companies, 3 detectives from the Seattle Police Department. Holt's full confession, combined with years of Claire's meticulous files and digital evidence anonymously delivered to the FBI, built an absolutely unbreakable case. Federal prosecutors called it the best documented criminal operation of the decade. The media devoured the story. Fraud empire brought down by dead executive. Billionaire's fiancé exposes corruption after murder. Dominic gave a controlled press conference, expression perfectly measured as he credited everything to Claire. "My fiancé died protecting this company's integrity," he told the cameras with a firm voice. "Claire Whitmore was the most brilliant, most ethical, and bravest person I knew. Her legacy won't be her death. It will be the justice she finally won." I watched from the apartment, heart squeezing as I saw pain barely disguised under a professional mask. I recognized the tense posture, the clenched jaw, the eyes that seemed empty despite the right words. 2 months later, a federal jury convicted Holt of 25 years in prison without possibility of parole. Accomplices received sentences ranging from 5 to 15 years. Stolen money was returned to insurance companies and victims. Kane Industries survived the scandal strengthened, with external audits confirming corruption was limited to secure life solutions. I accepted a position as general counsel for the company, working directly with Dominic to rebuild the systems Claire tried to protect. We implemented rigorous compliance protocols, quarterly independent audits, anonymous channels for whistleblowing. I kept my own apartment, preserving independence and professional appearances, but I spent 5 nights a week at Dominic's penthouse, in each other's arms, building something neither of us could name but both recognized as necessary. One night, 3 months after the verdict, Dominic took me to Hollow Creek. The building was abandoned, scheduled for demolition next quarter. Broken windows, graffiti covering walls, vegetation invading cracks in the concrete. "Why are we here?" I asked, studying the ruins of the place that shaped my childhood. "Because I need to do something, understand something." He led me to the girls' dormitory, now just empty space with torn mattresses and broken furniture. Claire told me about this place once, only time she talked about her childhood. She said she learned here that she could only trust herself, that adults lied and systems failed. He turned to me, eyes intense. "Until she met you." I pulled up my sleeve, looking at the scars that connected us through time, death, and rebirth. She saved me from disappearing completely, from becoming just another statistic, another broken child the system forgot. "I know." He took my hand, fingers tracing the old marks with reverence. "And now you've done the same for me. You saved me from drowning in revenge and pain." From his coat pocket, He took out a dark blue velvet box. Inside, a simple white gold ring, 3 small diamonds in a line. Delicate but significant. It's not a marriage proposal. Not yet, there's still so much we need to process, heal, understand. He held my left hand. But it's a promise. Past, present, future. Claire connected us through time. Now we choose to stay connected. Where I will diverse behind. Vision blurred with tears. I finally allowed to fall. Dominic, you don't need to answer now. Just need to know that for the first time in 6 months, I can imagine a future beyond revenge and emptiness. He held my face with both hands. A future with you, building something that honors her memory. Put it on me. My voice came out hoarse with emotion. He slid the ring onto my finger, and under the broken roof of the place that shaped us in different ways, we kissed. Not about desire this time. About promise. About healing. About choosing to move forward together. 6 months later, Kane Industries officially launched the Claire Whitmore Foundation to reform youth shelter systems nationally. Initial donation of $50 million, commitment to invest $2 million additional annually. I used all my legal knowledge to push for legislative changes. Lobbying in Washington, testimony at congressional hearings, lawsuits against abusive facilities. Dominic used his fortune and connections to implement practical reforms. Mandatory staff training, regular surprise audits, accessible therapy for all children. We didn't fix everything. The system was too big, problems too deep. But we saved some. 15 shelters reformed in the first year. 230 children transferred from abusive environments to safe homes. On the 1-year anniversary of Claire's death, we visited her grave together. Sunny day, rare in Seattle, blue sky without clouds. I left a bouquet of white lilies, her favorite flowers I discovered through old photos. Dominic left a framed photo of the 3 scars side by side, his freshly done by a professional tattoo artist to correspond exactly to ours. Now we're 3, he said, intertwining fingers with mine. Blood siblings, past, present, future. She united us even after leaving. Always connected, I completed. Echo Clear's words from 22 years ago. As we left the cemetery, summer sun warming the city that witnessed so much pain and finally some healing, I realized Claire didn't die in vain. She united us, 2 broken souls who found shared purpose. She transformed tragedy into something meaningful. Seattle's heat no longer felt cruel. It felt like a promise, future. Home for the first time in decades. For the first time in 35 years, I had a real family. Not biological blood, but something stronger. Choice, commitment, love forged in fire and survival. And this time, I wouldn't let go. Never again. And then, would you trust an obsessed billionaire who grabs your arm and demands to know who you are? Olivia made that choice, and it changed everything. If your heart raced when Dominic first saw the scars, leave a like so I know. Tell me in the comments. Would you have agreed to work with Dominic from the first moment, or would you have run away? Be honest. And look, if you're addicted to this kind of story where danger and obsession mix with true love, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because I have even more intense stories prepared for you. Until the next obsession, and remember, some scars don't disappear, they just connect us to the right people,